you guys doing? Welcome to episode 452. We're going to be talking about George Christie. I actually did an interview with him, I think about a year or two ago. It had to be something. It was a while. But I found an updated, newly released recording, and I found it pretty interesting, man. Now, I have to admit, this guy is freaking smart, man, and he was the face of the Hells Angels for a long time. I know there is a dispute between him and Sonny, but, you know, there's always three sides of the story and stuff. Also, there was a question. I'm going to read this article before I even go into that one, because you know, people, stop listening into the damn media about MCs. Really, some of the stuff they put out is garbage. It's kind of like Mr. Wizard and his crew over at hotcars.com talking about MCs, and the information is totally off. It really is. It's time to start calling them out for what it is. It's BS. And, you know, speaking of that, we've been having a hell of a time over on our channel on YouTube. If you noticed, we renamed it Insane Throttle only. Okay, it's just called Insane Throttle. We took off Biker News because it seems like our channel has been pretty freaking screwed with, if you ask me. People being unsubscribed without them knowing. People put it on mute. The whole 9 yards, man. And then we've been researching this all weekend and trying to figure out what the hell is going on with our channel. I seen it yesterday when I was in the chat room where people were muted, and that kind of pissed me off. It just seemed like we've been being throttled down. Some subscribers are getting notifications, some ain't. Or some people are getting them in like 30 minutes afterwards, after the show is already over. So I was looking around on the internet because I do know they got a YouTube policy where they can do whatever they want now. It used to not be like that. If you've seen some of my earlier stuff, it really wasn't messed with. But now it's like, damn, you got to watch your language. You got to watch the language inside the comments section, everything. And one of the creators that I really follow is Styx Hexen. He's a really cool good dude. He gives a lot of political commentary. Has about 500,000 subscribers. And now he's switching a lot of his stuff to Rumble and a lot of other channels like BitChute, because he is getting messed with. And you know what? The same thing that's happening to him is happening to us. So, we listened to kind of what he had to say, and I guess it's news-based, man, with their new deal. But I want you to listen in on this, and we'll talk about it and see what the hell is going on.
Event. It'll probably be a lot higher. If you look at, I guess, ticket sales to you are making news or political content of any kind, and that's 3/4 of what I do, you are buried in the algorithms for anyone that's not subscribed to you, explicitly in search and in related. And keep in mind that Google gives a different experience to each user. So if you see my videos, it doesn't necessarily mean that Jack Spratt over there. Some people do. Some people report that they don't. They're also getting randomly unsubscribed from me. This also has happened on Twitter. I've randomly had people muted that I never manually muted, and I'm not exactly sure why, including the DPRK News. Very good satire, by the way. So if you'd like to share out this video on some other platform to make it more searchable so people know I exist, that's helpful. Or you can follow me on a better video site. There are 4 links in a pinned comment on YouTube. There are also links in the description where I upload my videos. By the way, I also make BitChute videos. So one of my 4 videos each day doesn't even appear on YouTube. You're only getting 3/4 of the Styx Hexendom. You're getting fewer clanks. What are you doing with your life? Anyway, Beijing by.
Okay, that is Styx. I really love his stuff, man. I really do. But he has been throttled down hardcore. And now this is a guy that's really popular on the internet because he brings that no BS attitude to what he does as a creator. But we've been, you know what, with the notifications, with people being unsubscribed, with people being muted, that's a freaking huge problem for us as, and I know other biker channels have been experiencing it too. I know BD has, you know, basically, I don't know if the subscribers should go over to the YouTube Twitter thing, put up questions to them on why their creators are being muted. But what I did uh, was take news out of everything over on YouTube. I took it out of the channel keywords. I took it out of. I'm gonna stop hashtagging it. So remind me of that. Freaking cold up here. Anyway, I'm going to start doing that and seeing if things get better on the channel. Because that's ridiculous, man. You go through your analytics and you look at it before their new policies and everything was going decent, was going great. People weren't having that many problems. But then all of a sudden, boom, it hits. And you're like, what the hell is going on over there? Nothing like that's happening on Facebook. None of that stuff is happening on the podcasting platforms. So I guess that's just a YouTube deal. So the best thing you guys can do for the station is share it on your social media. Try to get around that all their BS. That's pretty as creators, and that's one thing I don't understand, is we're providing the content and the subscriber base to them. They're making money off the deal, giving us peanuts, but they can get so strict. I would think as a business model, you'd actually want to, and I can understand the newer, young, the channels that don't have that many people not advertising on their stuff because it's a waste of time. They don't got anybody, That's why they do the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. Okay, cool. I understand it's a business. But when you start attacking, channels that have the subscriber base and sticks 500,000 freaking people, that's pretty messed up. And what these guys and Tim Pool's been talking about is they're actually sending anything that's news related to the mainstream channels. When we first started off YouTube, we had a problem with our other channel where it got frickin' taken down, and that's how we came over here. But they're filtering everything that's news related to Fox News, CNN on their channels. It used to be not like that. People don't trust the mainstream media. And after I read this article, you know why. But anyway, they don't trust them. So they come to third-party content creators like Tim Pool, Sticks, The War Room. There's a million of them out there. That do it. But now that they kind of want to be like a Netflix, they're starting to just kick aside all the creators. And that's one of the reasons why I went to Rumble, because I got a lot of people asking me, well, why are you doing that new show on Fridays over on Rumble? You can't talk politics on YouTube. You can't even say that the election was rigged, any of that. So I have to do it because of the content. I got to do it on another deal. I got to do it on Rumble because they don't go after you. So I just wanted to get that cleared up, and because a lot of questions have been asked about that stuff, about the comments being muted, and it's happening on Twitter. I'm not a real big Twitter guy. So anyway, that is to start the show off, because I like to keep you guys updated. We're still working on it, redoing our keywords, words that they don't like. So But if you see a mute in the chat room, that's on them. That ain't on us. If you don't see your comments being filtered through, that's not on us. So, is what it is. Anyway, let's get into this. I had an actual question, and that's why I wanted to bring this article up, because he sent it to me for one, and I read it. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Anyway, Hollywood, here's an article that I found on the Hells Angels. Why is it that the media feels it must put out this type of garbage? Thanks for all you do. Yes, I appreciate that. So we're going to go to that article right now. Okay, here we are. This is out of Briefly. This is the article that he sent over to me. This is actually about 15 days old, but I needed to, mix something in, so I had to find a good topic with this one. And that YouTube one's good. But the mainstream media, this is what they're putting out about the Hells Angels. But this is something they do with all clubs. If you looked at hotcars.com, you can actually go over there and see articles about banditos, Mongols, outlaws, Hells Angels, and the crap that they really put out to the general public. I think there was one that was actually, well, these are the bad clubs, these are the good clubs. They have no idea what they're writing. And the problem is, let's face it, a lot of bikers love cars. I love cars. I love my low riders and stuff. They talk about more muscle type of deal over there. But they know bikers come to that website, so what they're doing now is they see, oh, wait a second, the biker life is, and especially motorcycle clubs, is a hot topic, so we can make some advertising revenue by clicks if we put this kind of stuff up. If you guys haven't noticed, newspapers are far few in between now. Everybody gets their news off the internet. So it's a whole different business model now where they have to get people to that website. So that is what hotcars.com does. And the problem with those kind of articles is you got people that actually believe in that crap. You got people that just went off and got a motorcycle, and the next thing you know, they want to be in a club. So they look at these articles, and it's all about the rebellion side of everybody, man. They want to look cool. They want to get the chicks, and they really don't know everything what it's about. I actually got a link in the description box of YouTube where it takes you to a site and gives you a pretty damn good overview of how the scene is. And it's guys that are from a bunch of clubs, 1%er clubs, that wrote that website. It's been around since 2008, I believe it is. So go over there, learn from there. Don't learn from Briefly. Whatever this is, briefly.co. And this is coming from overseas, but it's a good example of how the mainstream media treats motorcycle clubs. That's one of the reasons why we do our show, is to try to give some perspective and counter what they are writing about. If it was up to them, which most of the time that's what you'll see, is only law enforcement side of the story when it has to do with an article. You don't get the club support. And then you wonder why clubs don't want to freaking talk to the media, is because whatever the hell they say, it gets twisted. It's twisted around. Anyway, Hells Angels, and this is the title. All you need to know about the One Percenter Motorcycle Club. All you need to know. See how they frame that? Clubs, societies, and movements have existed from time immemorial. While some may be good, others are considered outlaws. In relation to motorcycle clubs, the oldest clubs date back to 1936. Actually, that's where you're wrong already. If you're talking about outlaw clubs, that would be considered that. Yeah, 1935, 36, the first one was AOA. But if you're talking about the oldest clubs, you're talking about clubs that started off in the late 1890s. They started off as bicycle clubs, and then you went into motorcycles when they came available. You had Yonkers and a lot of other ones. So right off the bat, if you don't know your history, which most people don't, you're not going to know that. So they should have framed it better. Hell's Angels Motorcycle Club is among the most famous outlaw clubs in the world. It dates back to the late 1940s, which it does. You know what? Then this picture right here, and I get it. They're worldwide. Now let's get into some of the material here. Hell's Angels models are Angels Forever, Forever Angels, which is the traditional one. And when we do right, nobody remembers. When we do wrong, nobody forgets. I don't know if that's the case. Now, I might be wrong here. I might be wrong. I think that's the Banditos. But, again, I haven't looked it up. I'm reading this article with you guys. Which is a 1%er saying. So what is the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club? Who they are? Stick around to find out. So they're going to try to answer the question, so what is the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club and who they are? That is the basis of their argument here. Who are the Hells Angels? Well, the first club was established on 17th of March 1948 in Fontana, California, United States of America. In the 50s, there was the continuous establishment of charters, which initially had no relation to each other. Later on, the charters united with the first club, and the Hells Angels became international in 1961. On 30th of July, 69, the organization got its first charter in Europe, in London, England. Today in Europe, there are over 275 charters. Now, I'm going to be looking that one up because, as far as I know, they were still in Cali in the 60s and didn't expand until the mid-60s. I have to look that one up. Let's see here. The association continued to grow internationally. In the late 70s, the Australian club started in 84. The first charter in South America, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was formed, and then it goes into that stuff. And a lot of these stuff, I got to go in and fact check and make sure that's what they're talking about is correct. So again, I'm going off the cuff here. And then they get into these rules. Now, these are the same rules that a lot of freaking mainstream media puts in their articles. They do not know their bylaws, okay? Members aren't going to give the media their bylaws, or if they do get their hands on it, it's usually through law enforcement leaks, because there has been some takedowns of clubs where they got bylaws. So that might be, or they're just in their generalization is what's going on here. The association has a strict set of rules that must be adhered to no matter where your charter is located. Some of the rules of the association include And it's funny, they don't talk, at least they got that right. HA goes by charters, not chapters. Women are not allowed to join. Well, that's a no brainer. There are dire consequences for breaking the rules. You guys make it seem in the mainstream media that clubs are criminal and once you're in, you can't get out, all that kind of crap. And that's just not the case, man. They're not going to bust you up for leaving. They're not going to, you know what? Even without bad members, they don't do that stuff. They just put them out bad, and that's the way it works. So there's dire consequences. That's what's being put into the general public's head, that these are hardcore criminal organizations, and if you want to get out, they're going to kill you, basically. Once an angel, always an angel. You do not retire unless you are kicked out. So basically what they just did was they went against the one the one I just read. That's what I hate about these. When the police pull over one member, all the members also pull over. You can never tell on a member. No, you can't be a damn snitch, is basically what it comes down to. And that goes for any organization where you take an oath. That's the way it works. You should not talk to the media about matters to do with the organization. Well, do you blame them? Do you actually blame them for not talking to you after you put out some of the stuff you have right here? No law enforcement officers are allowed to join since there would be a conflict of interest. Well, that's a no-brainer. And I'm going to get hit right back with that one. Because there are some 1%ers that clubs that take ex-law enforcement. That's a known fact. But current law enforcement, no. The vests are sacred, yeah. There's an order when riding. Okay, yeah. Okay, and I'm not going to go through about what 80, but what are the Hells Angel membership requirements? Like, somebody like this would know what their membership requirements are. The process of becoming a member of the association, okay, is an association in the club scene is a lot different than what they're saying. There's a different meaning with association than MC. Is lengthy and strict. Well, hopefully it is. When a candidate successfully goes through the first phase, they become a hang-around. Okay. What's the first phase then? Then they become a hang-around. During this phase, the individual can meet the members at designated places and take part in some association activities or events. Why don't you just say club activities, man? If the hang-around is still interested, he can continue on to become an associate. The level of an associate lasts for a year or two, after which the individual is recognized as a prospect. As a prospect, the individual still does not have the privileges of voting, but can take part in some club events, and his evaluation process continues. The last phase is full patch or full membership. In this stage, the individual is unanimously voted by the rest of the full club members. Well, no shit, Mr. Wizard. Before the voting takes place, the prospect goes to the charters in the geographic jurisdiction of the charter he has applied in. What are you, going for a job? While there, the full members get familiar with the prospect, ask questions. It is also a period when he vows allegiance to the association and the members. And now they're going to talk about during the Hells Angel initiation ceremony, the individual is endowed with the final patch. Right. The Max Motorcycle Club set set the record straight in a post on the club's Facebook page. I don't know who the hell they are. Post stated that two associations had a long overdue conflict, and they had been having meetings to try to sort out their dispute. The conflict came about after a member affiliated with Hell's Angels shot and murdered one of the MAC's members. Okay. Now, again, this is overseas. Hell's Angels are numerous in different countries all over the world. Some of the allies include the Red Devils. It's kind of like the Black Pistons to the Outlaws. The Iron Horsemen, Galloping Goose, the Warlocks, Headhunters in New Zealand, and Sons of Silence. Again, I'm not pushing any of that stuff. That's what the article has to say. The frequently asked questions. I love it that this article briefly is giving you advice. There's actually a frequently asked questions stuff here. Who are the enemies of the Hells Angels? Banditos have been a long time Hell's enemy to them. That was started by Don Chambers in '66. I don't know if that's true anymore. I've heard that they've been getting along. So, and then it goes, Hell's Angels, are they dangerous? There have been numerous Hell's Angels news of charges brought against the association, both in the U.S. and its international charters. Hell's Angels been linked to crimes such as gang violence, trafficking, arms dealing, and other illegal activities has led to it to be considered by the public and law enforcement as dangerous. Well, the public considers that because the way you guys report on it. Really? Do the Hells Angels still exist? You got to ask that one. I'm skipping over that. Then they go and say, what are the Hells Angels known for? The organization is considered among the most famous outlaw motorcycle gangs. It has been linked to criminal activities such as manufacturing and distributing of illegal drugs. In a national gang report carried out by the FBI, yeah, everybody's going to listen to them. They've been laying low for a while, especially in the U.S. How do you know all this stuff, man? It's like you're making crap up. You really are. Who wrote this damn thing? Kisa Wambuga. Yeah, that's a great freaking name right there, man. So what do you guys think of that article? It's like, you know what? They wonder why the MCs won't freaking talk to them. It's because they put out crap like this. So now you have these people that think, oh, wow, I want to be bad like that. They don't want to put in the work. Next thing you know, everybody's a damn 1%er. And I'm actually doing a article over in the members only section over on HarleyLiberty.com that drops tomorrow about what is the fascination with 1%ers and all that jive. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and get my thoughts on the George Christie thing. Hi, I'm James Hollywood Machikari. Join me Monday through Friday for Motorcycle Mayhem Morning Show on YouTube Live, Facebook, and all major podcasting platforms where we talk about all the major biker news going on in the scene. Rock on! Get your most unbiased and trusted biker news now at HarleyLiberty.com. Founded in 2012, Insane Throttle Biker News has been the place that all bikers come for what's happening in the scene. Go over now and bookmark HarleyLiberty.com. Rock on! Hi, I'm Hollywood.
And I'm China Doll. Listen to the Hollywood and China Doll Evening Show, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all major podcasting platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to our brand new YouTube channel.
Rock on! Okay, here we go. You know what? I'm gonna start this off by talking about a Vice article. Then I'm gonna go into where he actually addresses some of these questions in a new interview. I know he did with mine. And one thing about George is all this time, his story's never changed. Never. And that's one of the key things that I've noticed about his interviews, his books. Uh, if you have never read his book, Exile, it was a damn good book, man. It gave a lot of information that a lot of people didn't know. Everything of when their feud started with the Mongols, all the way up until when he left. And it was a good book. You know, if you're really into what his story is, what happened with Sonny, he's a tell-all, man. He's a tell-all. So some of the stuff with the Vice that I wanted to quickly go over. You were once the yin to Sonny Barger's yang, a key part of the group as a prominent spokesman. How did that relationship deteriorate? And his answer to this, there was a period when I really looked up to Sonny, but one of the things that I felt was really interesting was the first time I went to prison. I went to FCI Terminal Island and asked one of the brothers on the yard, quote, "Who do we have a problem with in here?" And he said, quote, "We don't fight in prison. Clubs that we're fighting with on the streets, we didn't have a problem with inside. In fact, we would interact with them. So when I got out in 87, I started reaching out to a lot of different clubs, negotiating truce with the Outlaws, the Banditos, the Mongols. I even talked to the Pagans a few times. That was my vision. And I think Sonny's interest didn't go beyond his little own orbit." Now, right there, a lot of people put in the comments and stuff, why can't clubs get along? There's people that's been trying this. And I know that George actually met with Taco with the Outlaws. I don't know the circumstances between the Banditos and Mongols or the Pagans, but he was at least trying. Then you go on to, again, why did you ultimately sever ties with the club? Quote, "I felt we became the people we rebelled against, and that's exactly what I told them at a meeting when I left. At one time, we would interact with all the clubs up and down the coast, and by 2011, we were fighting every major outlaw bike club in the United States, plus law enforcement. That's where some people lost perspective of what the initial intent was of the whole outlaw lifestyle. It seemed more military, like an army fighting another army." Boy, that hits you hard right there, don't it? Then it goes on, was it your plan to write a book about your time with the Angels, and did you anticipate blowback? After my departure from the club in 2011, there was a lot of misinformation going on about me. I had formally quit the club. I went to the meeting and I did it the way you're supposed to, follow protocol, faced everybody and said, "I think we have different visions and I'm going to call it a day." And I took my patch off, folded it up, put it on the table, and everybody seemed to understand the position. That's the way you're supposed to do it. And then a couple weeks later, I think Sonny Barger was instrumental in getting my status changed. I got a phone call that I was no longer out in good standing. I was out bad with no contact. And that's the sorry thing about clubs now is, and I've seen it happen to a lot of people, man, where they did everything the right way. Next thing you know, somebody's got a freaking hard on for you and put you out in bad. And it's like, man, there was only a couple things that used to get you put on bad. Now it's if you piss on somebody's bush wrong. They went on to campaign to shame me in social media, and all of a sudden I had people I've never met before who weren't even club members, who were maybe who you would call loose associates or fans or whatever, coming at me, making accusations and whatnot. And then he decided to set the record straight. You have to do that kind of stuff when come on, in any ordinary life, you got to do that. When somebody comes at you, you got to go back at them. So that's his side of the story on that. And and I think the reason, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. I want to go to where he talks here. Now, this is No Cover TV on YouTube, and this is George Christie talks jail and people flipping on him. They have like a 2-hour deal with him. Very good stuff, man. Very good stuff. So let's listen for a minute.
40 years I was going to walk away from the club. And
was that hard for you?
Yeah, it was very hard. It was
emotionally or
emotionally, mentally.
Worried?
No, I don't worry. You know, if I did worry, I wouldn't have wrote the book. But anyways, you know, it was a situation where if I didn't leave, it would have strictly been because of my ego. I felt that the club was going in a different direction. I'd been a leader of the club for 35 years, and you know, a lot of the younger guys didn't share my vision anymore. So I felt it was, you know, 40 years was a good run. So
what was the difference in visions?
Well, you know, initially it was all about riding motorcycles, building motorcycles, partying, having fun, and when I walked away from the club, you know, we were actually, and not only, you know, the Hells Angels, but every major bike club in the United States was fighting. Just didn't interest me.
Now, that right there, not only does that apply to the club scene, but that applies to independents as well, enthusiasts. It used to be all about riding. It used to be about hanging in the garage with your buddies, building bikes, or just swapping stupid stories. And it's now become far from that, especially if you look at all the comments that you see on the internet. It's like, man, really? Get a freaking life. You know, wow, just get a life. It's like you got nothing better to do. Do you know what, you know, the true meaning of everything was supposed to be about? And some MCs, now they gotten away from it too. And, you know, that's what he was explaining here. Let's go on.
Fighting on 5 fronts, and what happens is when you run out of opponents to fight, what happens is you start turning inward, and I didn't want to be around.
Yeah.
Another wise deal there. When you got no opponents to fight, then you start turning on your own. I've seen that a lot. I've seen it a lot, man. Where people were loyal to their clubs to a bone. Next thing you know, some personal issues or politics pop up, and everybody's fighting their own guys.
What year did you leave?
2011.
2011.
Yeah.
When you're
So 10 years.
When you guys were here, were you guys fighting? I don't know. I'm not. You know, the motorcycle game that we see here a lot is Carnalis.
Yeah, the Carnalis have been in Ventura since I can remember. And, you know, we always had a good relationship with them and a working relationship with them. You know, they would come to the clubhouse, our clubhouse, and party with us, and we would go to their events on occasion.
Let's move forward.
I went there and expressed how I felt, and basically what I, you know, just told you here, and I said I was going to go my separate ways. Initially, everything was okay, and then there was a riff with one of the other leaders, not around here. I had been at odds with, and you know, he took that opportunity to on a character assassination of me and whatnot. So I wanted to set the record straight, and that's why I wrote the book. I wanted to tell my side of the story. I found it kind of amusing that Hell's Angels would take to social media on a shaming campaign of me. I found it kind of ludicrous. But
now, see, his story doesn't change from the Vice article that was written, I think, a couple years ago to October 21st of 2020. It doesn't, it don't change whatsoever. His side of the story doesn't change.
So, after that started, and then, there were all kinds of rumors that I had testified against people and I'd done this and I'd done that. Well, when I got indicted in 2011, I'm the only guy that went to prison. Everybody else testified against me, including
everybody testified against him,
including 3 Hell's Angels.
So 3 Hell's Angels testify against him, but people are going around saying he was a rat. And that's one thing that really sucks is people use that term loosely, man.
Basically they said I was the leader and I had told them to do certain things. Back to fire bombings of the tattoo shops.
He talks about a lot of that in his book.
I really wanted to tell the judge that it's obvious I didn't have anything to do with it because the tattoo shops were gotten a lot more accomplished.
When that first goes on, these brothers telling you, this is the dude who did it. He told me. Like, what is feeling that?
Well, I felt like they betrayed me. They had got in trouble for other things, nothing to do with the tattoo shops, but the FBI had realized I had left the club, and I think they felt it was an opportunity to put the squeeze on me if I would cooperate. I didn't, and I wound up on house arrest for 2 years fighting the case, and then I got an additional. Meant that in Texas, which is kind of funny, because when I got back to Texas, the Banditos run the state of Texas. That's another outlaw bike club we've had issues with, but you have to keep in mind, I was the negotiator for the club. So when I got back to Texas, report to the prison back, the Banditos were there. I knew all the Banditos in prison there. They had a cell waiting for me, and I was selling up with. So it was like a home week.
Rock and roll. That just tells you how different it is on the inside compared to the outside with everything. But again, he don't change his story. He don't try to blow things out of proportion. Now, according to Christie, he was the one picked because nobody else wanted, and I think this happened to add an East Coast or a West Coast regional, where they had to confront Sonny, and it's probably not a freaking good idea to confront somebody like Sonny because he's got legend status. He's the one who really pulled the club together. So you usually, usually you don't, maybe it's a bad decision, whatever. But he was going according to his bylaws, and it had to deal with a 911 call, which has been released. It indeed did happen where he called 911, and when that's against the bylaws of the club, it's got to be addressed. And that's where the politics now have gotten just so out of freaking hand, man. Everybody wants to be a president. Everybody wants to be a boss. Nobody wants to be a soldier. So the politics come into play and just start destroying everything that was built. And that's some sad news right there, man. It really is. So I suggest you guys go and look at his book if you really want to dive in to this deal, because I still get people that comment on that episode. Well, he's this, he's that. how do you even know without getting both sides of the story? You know, what it comes down to is you're either a fan of Sonny or you're a fan of him, and it goes right down the middle. You know, the social media stuff, you know, is probably what, you know, and that's the thing with 81 supporters, man. They're always out there acting like they're freaking a part of the club, that they speak on them, they give this stupid opinions. But then it, you know, you never would have thought that they would go on social media, but that's his story. There's other sides of it too. So that's just my thinking on that. Go over to that YouTube channel and you can check it out, man. It's a lot longer interview than what I played. I just wanted you to hear the comments between what he had to say and what he had to say in the Vice article, and nothing changed, man. So, hey, if you try to do it the right way, and next thing you know, you're kicked out on bad because you had a personal beef with somebody else, then of course he's going to go make his money, man. Why shouldn't he? He put in 40 friggin' years, and next thing you know, they turn on him. That's just the way life goes, man. You're going to want some payback. And, you know, it's the same thing with the Sons of Anarchy. You know, Sonny was in that, so were other Hells Angels. So how can you go around and bash the damn show when there was actually club members involved in that show? I don't know, man. That's just my freaking thoughts on the subject. But anyway, you guys let me know what you guys think. If you're having a problem with the YouTube channel, let me know. I'm trying to fix it, man. I really am. So, anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys later. You have a good one.
I say goodbye, vamoose, adios, ciao, so long, get your hat, Jack.